I'm on the side of finding out why everybody got back to the mainland except Nolan Wells.
I don't think they've cooperated at all. They do not have Nolan's phone. They haven't had access to Nolan's phone. The Jackson County Sheriff's Department hasn't. So how can you say that there's text missing or there's photographs missing? Our boys had no reason to do anything with Nolan's phone other than give it back to Christine and her friends later that night. So anything about missing text messages or Snapchats is completely false.
It was supposed to be an afternoon that didn't need explaining. Friends who saw each other almost every day, a boat to Horn Island, phones left on board, Nolan's and another boy's too. For Nolan Wells, that routine ended with him separated. His friends returned to the mainland. He did not. His phone did. His mother, Christine, later said she found it odd. It had sent nothing from the island. That's an observation, not a claim of deletion. And as of this broadcast, no party has firsthand confirmed where that phone is now. More than a month later, 2 medical examiners have said the same thing, 'cause still undetermined, one still waiting on toxicology, the other reportedly without organs to examine. That's why this case is now with an active grand jury in Jackson County. And that's where our investigation starts, with what the phone can still tell us, what the boat reportedly never got searched for, and what an undetermined autopsy actually means. If you're new here, we only build from what the record actually says. If you want to stay with an investigation that won't give you an easy villain, subscribe now before we step back onto that island. Horn Island is not a park you ferry to. It is a barrier island off Mississippi, uninhabited, no shops, no road off. Private boats go out, private boats come back. Jackson County Sheriff's Department holds jurisdiction over that water, a detail that matters later when a grand jury is mentioned by name. The exact calendar date of this trip is not in the single broadcast transcript we have. The broadcast, Crime Stories on Fox 1, hosted by Nancy Grace, places it only as over a month before air. Nolan Wells is described there as a young man, teen or young adult, exact age not stated. He went that afternoon with a group of friends. Former Tucson police officer Brandon Tatum, who runs the YouTube channel Officer Tatum, and conducted his own interviews with the group, including a friend identified only as Warren, described that circle as close enough to hang out almost every day. Tatum also noted Nolan had reportedly spent the night at a friend's home on a prior occasion, offered not as a timeline fact for this day, but as context for how tight they were. Per the friend's account, which the Bible flags as disputed, Nolan did not have his phone with him on the island. It stayed on the boat. Per that same account, another boy, race unspecified, beyond also black, also left a phone on the boat. Tatum raised that second phone specifically to rebut a suggestion of a racial component to Nolan's phone being left behind. Around 5 p.m., one second-hand account relayed on the broadcast said the group was almost fighting. The source of that claim isn't identified in the transcript. It is flagged as unverified, single source, and must be heard that way. Shortly after that time, a Bertram model boat, called the Triton, later in the same broadcast, was seen leaving the island area at a high rate of speed. The same day, the friend group returned to the mainland. Nolan did not return with them. The broadcast treats his death as established fact, though it does not describe how or when his body was recovered. No recovery details are in this source. That routine, boat out, phones left, friends together, is the last normal detail we have before everything else becomes dispute. Once the boat was back, the phone should have been the simplest object to clear up. It became the most contested. No party on the broadcast has direct, first-hand confirmed knowledge of where Nolan's phone physically is today. That status is disputed. As of the 11th, month and year not specified in this source, a statement was issued by the family's attorney saying they were prepared to cooperate. Multiple guests cited that statement as evidence the phone had not yet been handed over to law enforcement as of that date. Those are attorney statements relayed by guests, not direct confirmation from law enforcement, the family, or their attorney appearing directly. Christine's on-record comment, as relayed in the broadcast, was that she found it odd that no messages were sent out from Nolan's phone while he was on Horn Island. That is short of a direct claim that data was deleted. The Bible flags that explicitly. Tatum characterized it as an insinuation that something may have been deleted, not a direct claim that it was. Tyler Cox, attorney representing the group of friends who were on the boat, has publicly stated the friends had no reason to interfere with Nolan's phone beyond returning it to his mother that night, and that any claim of missing texts or photos is false. That is his paraphrased position, preserved in the transcript summary. Two firm claims now sit across from each other. Nothing was sent, nothing was deleted. Both can be true. One can be wrong. You cannot know which from competing attorney language alone. If you have stayed with this channel through cases where we refuse to fill a gap with a guess, you know what comes next is not an accusation, it's a manual. Subscribe before we open it, because the forensic tools that decide this are not what most viewers expect. That question carries us out of the dispute and into the lab. Heather Barnhart is introduced not as a commentator but as a practitioner. Digital forensics expert with Celebrite, Sands Institute instructor, co-author of Practical Mobile Forensics 4th edition, previously worked the Alex Murdaugh case and consulted on the Brian Kohberger case. Her on-record explanation is deliberately narrow. Cloud data, iCloud and third-party app syncing, can independently preserve information even without the physical device in hand. That means even if you never touch the phone, some version of its life may exist elsewhere. Physical access, however, provides fuller, more reliable data for determining what, if anything, was deleted. A full file system extraction tells you not just what is there now, but what was there and when it left. The implication laid out on record is not dramatic. Not having the physical phone does not mean the truth is unreachable. It does mean the fullest picture is currently unavailable. That reframes the frustration you felt in the last chapter. You are not waiting on a single object. You are waiting on two places where truth can live, one partial in the cloud, one complete in the hand, and as of this broadcast, neither has been confirmed as examined by anyone with first-hand knowledge. If the cloud holds partial answers, the next question is how long those partial answers stay alive before they disappear on their own. Tanya Jordan is introduced as Chief Parent Officer at Bark Parental Control and author of Parenting in a Tech World. Her expertise is not homicide. It is how long apps pretend to forget. On record, Jordan explains an unopened Snapchat photo or video can persist on Snapchat servers for up to 30 days if unopened. If law enforcement issues a valid legal request before deletion, that data can be preserved and handed over. Once deleted before that request, it reportedly cannot be retrieved. Separately, on Apple devices, deleted photos persist in a recoverable folder for a period before permanent removal. Neither of these mechanisms confirms anything was deleted in this case. They establish only what would still be possible to check, and for how long. The Bible is explicit. What, if anything, was on the phone, and whether anything was deleted, is explicitly not established. That creates a different kind of urgency than true crime usually gives you. Not who deleted what, but whether anyone asked in time. Work like this takes hours of transcript, not headlines. If you want us to keep pulling the actual manuals instead of the theories, subscribing is what keeps these investigations independent, while that 30-day clock is still ticking. The phone has a clock running on it. The boat does too. A piece of physical evidence that, per the record we have, has not yet been searched at all. Per the record, the boat has not been searched by cadaver dogs or scent dogs as of the broadcast. That comes from Tatum. One account, also from Tatum, states the friend group and their representatives made the boat available for such a search, and that this offer was not taken up by Benjamin Crump, attorney associated with Nolan's family, who publicly requested a cadaver dog search of the boat per Tatum and the family side. That account is presented by one guest only, and is contested in tone by the host. It must be presented as one party's characterization, not settled fact, and flagged as one-sided and unverified per Section 11. Per Tatum, second-hand and unverified, within this single source, the friend group voluntarily handed their phones to the FBI. That is second-hand, not independently confirmed within this transcript. What is confirmed on record is legal authority. Philip Dubé, defense and trial lawyer in Los Angeles who practices criminal and constitutional law, clarifies that private citizens, including Crump or Nolan's mother, cannot independently authorize or force a search of another party's boat. Only law enforcement, or a grand jury subpoena or request, can compel that. That correction matters because it redirects the frustration you have been building since Chapter 2. You want someone to have searched the boat. The record says no one has. You want the family to be able to demand it. The record says they cannot. Only the body that can compel answers on both the phone and the boat is the one already seated. If you value fact-based, respectful true crime that waits for the record instead of inventing a villain, subscribe before we close, because this ending does not give you what most true crime endings pretend to give. 2 medical examiners have assessed this case. One returned undetermined, explicitly pending toxicology and histology review. The second also returned undetermined, reportedly due to lack of organs available for examination. No further explanation for the organ issue is given in this source. Susan Hendricks, investigative journalist and author of Down the Hill about a double homicide in Delphi, confirms on record that a grand jury is actively investigating in Jackson County. No further procedural detail is given. No charges have been filed against anyone as of this broadcast. No indictment has been returned per this source. No trial, plea, or sentencing has occurred. Multiple guests explicitly state on air, including Tatum and host Nancy Grace, that these boys are not suspects, they are not persons of interest, they have not been charged. Tatum, these boys are not suspects, they're not persons of interest, they haven't been charged. Grace agrees. Per production standards in the Bible, no individual is to be characterized as a suspect anywhere downstream unless a future source shows a formal law enforcement designation. As of this transcript, that designation does not exist. The friend group did not take a traditional polygraph. That was initially misstated on air by one guest and had to be corrected. They reportedly took a computer voice stress analysis instead, a different methodology, not the same as a polygraph. Per Tatum, secondhand from the friends and their attorney, all but one friend, Warren, took this voice stress test. All reportedly passed. This is unverified and not independently confirmed. Why Warren did not take it is not given in this source. Full names of the friend group beyond Warren are not given. Whether polygraphs were ever administered was confirmed not administered per on-air correction. And Dubé notes polygraphs are admissible in court only if both parties stipulate in advance, a rare circumstance. Joseph Scott Morgan, professor of forensics at Jacksonville State University, author of Blood Beneath My Feet, host of Body Bags, cited as having 10,000-plus death investigations, is present in the transcript to speak to how undetermined findings happen, though his specific commentary is not summarized in this Bible beyond his role. One ambiguous reference is made by the host to a SETO call, with the host saying she does not know if that call is real or fake. No spelling confirmation, context, or explanation is given. The Bible instructs do not use this term or reference in any script until independently verified. It may be a mishearing. We have not used it. The specific nature of the mother, his investigated claim teased at the top of the competitor broadcast, is never substantiated with a direct allegation, charge, or on-record confirmation in the body of the transcript. It appears to conflate the family being under public scrutiny for the phone with a formal investigation of her. Flag as unsubstantiated framing. Recap without new claims, because new claims do not exist in this source. The phone's location remains unconfirmed by any party with first-hand knowledge. The boat remains unsearched by cadaver dogs. The digital retention windows, cloud sync, Snapchat 30-day server persistence, Apple recoverable folder may or may not still be open. The exact date of the boat trip, Nolan's age, and any biographical detail beyond what is here, what if anything was on the phone, whether the boat was ever formally offered for a dog search and by whom beyond one account, are all missing or disputed per Section 11. This began as a routine afternoon with friends who saw each other almost every day. Phones left on a boat, an island, a return trip with one person missing. More than a month later, the official answer is still the same word the examiners used. 'Cause still undetermined. Is the truth being hidden inside a phone, or are we inventing a cover-up because we cannot accept an empty phone and an unfinished investigation that looks like one from the outside?